Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Gen V Season 2, Episode 4. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we are picking up in the aftermath of Jordan's speech, and it is a complicated thing when you just try to do what you believe is the right thing, and you never really think about, how much things would blow back. I mean, the fact is, it's a larger conversation because it falls into, obviously it's how divided the world is, both in the boys, outside of the boys, the culture war of it all, because there's a culture war, little things put in there too of just purposely being he, she, they, going out of their way to do that whole thing. Even saying pronouns are he, she, liar. Then they had the Justine of it all, where Justine was like, I was just in the bathroom, and then Jordan came in and whipped out their penis. It's dude, it's once again, this universe always does the thing where it pulls from real life and stuff like that. But obviously Kate denying, because everything that last episode, everything that Cypher said to her, it stuck, where it's I can't let anyone find out the truth, because if the truth comes out about who really attacked me, the truth would come out about my power. So even she has to stick to the narrative that's been created. And it's now that blows back on Jordan even more, because they're oh, Jordan's just trying to take heat off, because everyone has their opinion of Starlighters are these terrible, well, not everyone, but good, large cultish following of people believe that the Starlighters are these inhumane, not even human, they're subhuman, yada, yada, yada. And now it seems like Jordan's a defender of that. And it's the conversation too is, and it's going to be interesting to see if they ever really dive into this going forward or not. But sadly, these conversations end up having the biggest effect on a community that Jordan's not even a part of. Jordan's not transgender, but obviously it's you being bigender, who cares? The thing is, we're going to put you into a category, and it's you're going to fall into the transgender category, and you're going to be the poster child for hate mongering towards that group. It's they didn't really get into it, but Jordan it's going to be the poster child for why even more hate's going to be flung to transgender. And that's the thing, you can take something someone did, and it's you represent this group. If I did something, it's first thing that would come out about this black male did, so I'd add to the statistics used against the black community in that regard. So it's just kind of it sucked, and especially going back to the point of Jordan just wanted to do the right thing. It's they even said it themselves. It's this school is full of lies, and I just wanted to tell the truth, especially about Andre. The world deserves to know the truth about Andre, And it's I didn't throw everyone else under the bus. And that was the thing. Cypher is threatening Marie and Emma, too, where it's let me take all the blame. It's nope. If you take the fall, everyone's going with you. All of y'all are going to get shit back there on Myra. And even Emma says it's that's always going to be this anchor around our legs. He's always going to threaten us with that. That's always going to be in his back pocket, this is being number one, and that's why Jordan was kind of captivated by it for a moment last episode, because this is all they've ever wanted. We've known since season one how much they've wanted it. And, just like Andre got number one after what happened to Luke, and it's just I didn't want it this way. And Jordan got it this way too. And it's just no, I reckon I've seen what this school really is. I see through the BS. I see what this school makes people into, and I don't want to be a part of that. So they got brought in by Cypher, and he's talking to them. In fact, Seth is talking to them, which I was hey, Seth, it's good to know you're still alive. Cause we weren't sure. We saw Evan bite the dust, but it's interesting that, last season of The Boys, but it's good to see you managed to survive the calling at the end of season 4. Kind of sad you don't have your partner with you anymore, but hey, we'll push on through. So the whole thing is supposed to be a lead up to a fight, between Marie and Jordan. It's the gender bender versus the blood bender. This episode taught me the term hemokinesis, which I was I think this might be the first time I've heard of it. Maybe I've heard of it in the past and it just never stuck, but I was makes sense. Of course there'd be a kinesis term for blood bending. I just never thought about it, telekinesis, pyrokinesis, so hemokinesis makes the most sense. But I just never thought about like that terminology for bloodbending. I've just always been like, oh, bloodbending, you know. Basically, Jordan's kind of hated enemy number one, and there's only so much they could do because they made, and that was kind of something Marie was kind of banking on. It's like, okay, you're number one, they made you number one, they can't really do anything about it, but it's like this is their way to kind of put Marie for one on top by having her fight Jordan and beating Jordan. It's like no half-assing this, you go all in. And it's so like Cypher's always typically composed. He gets a little riled up when he's like pushing like specifically Marie, but like in this moment he yells and he's snapping, and even Steph's like, do I need to be here for this? I don't think I probably should leave. And he's there the entire conversation. But it's like, yeah, like this, because it's like, you know, Marie's like, even if I were to fight Jordan, even if I wanted to, I can't beat Jordan. It's like, have faith in yourself. It's like, it's such a weird paradigm where he's yelling at you, but at the same time telling you like, have faith in yourself, believe in yourself. It's like, well, we know you have ulterior motives for it, but still it's such a weird dichotomy. So now they're stuck in this situation. It's like, well, how do we find a way out of this? It's like, well, we have to end the fights. It's like, well, the go-to would be we'll get Kate to push him. And it's like, ooh, yeah, about that. Kate's powers aren't, at first it seemed like they're not working at all, but it seems like they're there. They're just unreliable and they're not like 100%. She can't seem to push people when given the opportunity. Like she hasn't really tried. Like after last episode, she came back to school, she couldn't hear any thoughts, and she knew her powers had kind of been gone. But to be fair, going back, it's like I guess it was almost like maybe not completely gone, but maybe it's like there, but like severely deafened. Essentially, her being able to read people's minds, her telepathy. But they plan on pushing Cypher to kind of stop all of this, and they go to Kate, and it's like reluctantly have to like ask for her help. And I thought was interesting that Kate dances around it and doesn't say that she doesn't have her powers right now, which I think makes a lot of sense considering like, you know, they're approaching you out of like the thing is, you don't want anyone to know that you're human right now practically, because it's like it leaves you vulnerable. For one, the people who kind of have beef with you, they might like decide like, oh, we'll throw you to the wolves because we know you don't have your powers right now, so we don't have to be worried about you like compelling us or whatever. So I think there's an element of that. But also she's like, the only reason why you're joining forces with me right now, only reason why you're on my side right now is because you think I have my powers. And if you realize I don't have them, you'll toss me aside because, you know, you won't have any use for me. And I think right now where she feels so alone, Kate doesn't want to be tossed away. She's so scared of being tossed away. You know, we know the whole thing with her mom keeping a distance from her, having her locked behind that giant door and stuff like that. It's just every like good thing in her life has kind of gone. Andre, even though there was BS wrapped behind it, Indira was that good thing for her. It's like Indira's the one that kind of saved her in a lot of ways. So it's like, and now all you kind of have is your friends. But outside of that, what does Kate have? You know, and especially if she doesn't have her powers too. Like on top of that, I don't have my powers, and they're a little mixed up and not working properly. What do I have outside of all of this? So it's very understandable why she would want to keep that hush hush. But the problem is like, well, it's necessary for us to know if your power's out of whack. But she's trying to like, I mean, I guess the way she's talked about it, she probably wasn't lying. She says like, I've tried to read Cypher's mind, but it hasn't worked. I think she even suggested, because he did say this line in episode 1 where he was like, are you going to try and push me again? I thought that was implying like, because the wording of it could mean either like he knows for a fact she's tried to push him in the past, or he's like, oh, you're not going to try again. This was you trying. You're not going to try again, are you? But like now that she said like she has tried pushing him before, does make it seem like it's like oh no, like she has tried in the past and he's aware that she's tried in the past. So, or maybe she's just implying that based off of that one experience in episode 1. Once again, she's also trying to hide the fact that she doesn't have her powers. So while they're trying, like it's Jordan and Kate breaking into his place, which we'll get to in a second, and then Marie's keeping him occupied with their training, and then Emma's getting her like squad of Starlighters together. So we'll kind of break that down. First, the Jordan and Kate of it all. There's actually this really back and forth between them. They kind of throw shade at each other. It's like apparently Kate fucks some guy with hooves, and then you have Jordan having fucked some guy, like, I don't know if he could, like, multiply himself or something like that. It's like, oh, yeah, you were swallowing this and that, like, swallowing 4 dicks. It's like, those 4 dicks were from the same dude. And they're both laughing about it, but it is like, the sad thing is, they were friends. And it's just kind of sucky for them to be where they are right now. And even Jordan's like, I don't want to, but I don't know if I could ever not be mad at you forever. It's like, those complicated feelings aren't going to just go away. That betrayal of Kate's runs so deep. They're able to forgive Marie because they love Marie, and Marie's like kind of abandoning you isn't as bad as like everything from Kate's choices. The fallout from that had such dire quick consequences, the Andre of it as well. So it's like how do you move past that? It's such a hard thing because and once again, I said, like, Kate is so alone right now that, you know, you want to latch on and hold on to whatever friends you can, you know, especially considering the history that Kate and Jordan have as friends. They have been friends for a while, so. I mean, especially when you think about the fact is, amongst that core group of Luke, Andre, Jordan, and Kate, they're the only ones left. Luke is gone and Andre is gone, so, like, all they have with that core group is each other now. So even more reason to kind of double down and kind of like try to keep that as much as possible. But yeah, like I was saying, Kate did not tell them the truth about her powers. So I was like, when you get up to that guy, I was like, is he not actually going to do it? I thought that was going to blow up in her face, but then her powers activate. It's like, oh, it all worked. And he's pulling down his pants. I was like, at first I was like, is he trying to make a statement? It's like, and then he proceeds to fuck the garden gnome, and you're like, oh no, it's just her powers are out of whack. And you know, Jordan's like, you should have said something ahead of time. But they break into the door, and it just seems like a regular room. They go over to it and they find like a tube, and inside this chamber is like a burned up body, but whoever it is still alive, and he opens his eyes. So we get confirmation from it later on, but I was like, well, that's got to be Cypher's dad or something, right? And like I said, he confirms it later on in the episode, but because my thought was like, could it be like either he is Godolkin or he's like Godolkin's kid? And the fact is that guy's there is burned up the way he is. I'm wondering if he's like, considering we got that opening with Godolkin, I think he's one of the scientists that was testing out the V, because they were trying to like make an enhanced version of the V to make the more powerful abilities. I'm wondering, because one of the scientists that was there burst into flames, and I'm wondering if that's him. It's interesting, too, because you're like, the tube, the burned up skin, you're kind of like, reminds me a little bit of Deadpool, which I immediately made me go, huh. Obviously, this universe is built off of, like, both, you know, the show and the comic were built off of, like, this universe's parody or version of, like, heroes across Marvel and DC. But I'm like, it kind of got me wondering, I'm like, is there a version of Deadpool in The Boys? Because, like, Deadpool by nature is, like, a very Boys, like, Elo-esque character. So I was like, if you're going to do the Boys version of Deadpool, it would be, like, a very serious, not quippy at all, I would assume. Like, you'd basically have to do, like, a wholesome version of Deadpool, I would think. You know, once again, someone that's more familiar with the comic could probably let me know if there's, like, a Deadpool. I mean, there might be characters we've already met that are probably very Deadpool-esque, and I've never really thought about it. But just, yeah, that just kind of made me think. Like I said, my immediate thought was Deadpool, and I'm curious if there's going to be any correlation there. I mean, I'm also basing this off the movie. I don't know if, like, how Wade gets it. I know his powers are tied to having cancer, but I don't remember if, like, I don't know if that's how it works in the comic too, like specifically how he got like that chamber and everything. I don't know if that's out of the comic too. Maybe not the entire setup for it, but maybe like the end result of like, I think was about, I don't know. I don't want to talk like with any authority or like any certainty because I'm not sure at all. So it's kind of a moot point, but regardless, moving on. So then we also have the Kate side where she's not sorry, Kate, Emma side of things where she's gathering up her resistance fighters, and they're trying to decide a way to try and stop the fight, and they're trying to come up with an idea, once again sabotage and all that. So we know what Harper's power is. Now the question is, what is Allie's? And Allie's like, I can control my hair like, Medusa without the snakes, which is interesting considering there's a character like that in the comics, specifically in Marvel Comics. There's Medusa of the Inhumans. That's exactly her power. So just funny too that they would make that reference, like using Medusa as a reference, considering there is the character Medusa who's taken her name kind of similarly from that. So it's a double layered element to that, which is interesting. But Allie's situation is, my power isn't my head hair, it's her pubic hair. It's like, Of course that the boys had to put their own effed up twist to it. It's like, she's like, do you want to see it? Emma's like, nah, I'm good. We can wait. Also, the guy that's in her, was it Modesty, whatever class for episode 2? That might have been in episode 3. The guy, she kind of there's some clicking or whatever. Turns out that's Allie's brother. Blanking on his name. They said it. I'm blanking on it off the top of my head. So that's going to be interesting. New love interest. Also, he's a Starlighter, which you're like, ooh, that might not end well for you. But we'll see. God, I hope nothing happens to Allie or Harper, too. I hope nothing happens to that little crew, because that's going to be heartbreaking, especially because, Emma's kind of become their leader. And even as Harper says, it's like, you've kind of become an inspiration to us because of who you are and what you do. And, it's like you, Allie telling you about her ability is actually pretty big. Understandably why Allie does not want to talk about that. It's like, yeah, that's not the best, ability to kind of, showcase. But it's like, yeah, it's kind of a big deal because you inspire people to be okay with their abilities. You inspire people to want to step up and believe in themselves to be heroes. Because Harper's trying to help Emma, but Emma's, her powers working the way they do. It's like, I don't always have to do the whole vomiting thing, but, I do have to make myself feel like shit. I have to make myself feel small to shrink. And it's like, well, what about the whole big thing? It's like, well, I don't really know about that either. So it's interesting too, because she still refuses to even acknowledge it as he's like, oh, that eating disorder. She's like, it's not an eating disorder, because in her mind it's like, well, it's part of my ability. Just like Marie will never acknowledge, well, the cutting, that's just part of my ability. It's like, no, sure, it ties into your ability, but it's not necessary for your ability. It's just this psychological disorder that you connect with your ability. Same thing in Emma's case. It's like, it is an eating disorder. It's because that's your way to kind of, and it doesn't just stem from your powers. It does, but it's also because your mom has given you body issues because she's always checking your height and your weight. So that doesn't help. Staying on Emma, I love the whole thing later on when Kate's there and there's a whole bunch of I don't know if those are seltzers or whatever in front of her, and Emma's snapping her fingers, and then Kate's almost looking like, what? And I'm like, your servant comes over and brings the one, and she's like, that's not the one I want. I was like, I don't know why I love that bit so much. It's like, you didn't tell her what you wanted, you just snapped your fingers at her yo, get up. It's like you're kind of, and you're in a position where you kind of have to deal with whatever bullshit we sling your way because you kind of deserve it after everything. But circling over to Marie, her training involved her moving these blood bags from one table to the other without bursting them. And she made it partway with the first bag, but it exploded. He's like, well, Cypher's like, oh, that was shit. And he tells her oh, focus feel every cell in the blood bags and yada, yada, yada. She's like, okay, Yoda. He's like, yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. But he knows, she knows about Odessa. He's like, then you have to, if you do this, I'll tell you what you want to know about Odessa. ends up saying something interesting where he's like, basically, Godolkin was working on a way of making stronger abilities and stuff like that. And you're the product. You could be not only the strongest hero that's ever come out of Godolkin, you could also be the strongest. And she's like, what, stronger than Homelander? And you're like, is that what they're gunning for now? Because we also don't know with what Butcher's situation is now currently. We know he's strong enough to kill Victoria, obviously, but it's like, we don't know if he's got enough of the juice in him to kill Homelander. But he also he did take the virus from them at the end of the season. He took the virus from the boys at the end of the season, didn't he? I can't remember. So we don't know what the power scaling is on that front. But even she's like, why would Vought want that? Why would Homelander? It's like, well, one, Homelander would never want anyone stronger than him. He would want strong soldiers for this war, sure. But it's like, so I guess, well, because there's a conversations, and I brought this up in like episode 1, that there is the whole Vought Mexico. Once again, I haven't looked into that. I don't know where that is production-wise. So I just looked it up. Apparently, they're still pretty early in development, so it's not going to be anything we're going to see anytime soon. But obviously, once again, even if nothing comes about it, it's still kind of set up like, okay, there's giving you some insight, building blocks of like the world of like the boys, of like other stuff happening. But like, apparently, there's still like, things are going good, but it's still like pretty far. I think like I was reading something that said like Eric Kripke gave a pretty recent, like maybe like a week or two ago, update about where things are. But yeah, like I think there's still like the pilot is going good, but like I said, from like anything being released is still far away. So I hadn't heard any recent updates about it. That's why I brought it up like in episode 1, where I was like, oh, where's that currently standing? In fact, even if nothing happens with the show, but it seems like something will. But regardless, my whole point was like, whatever his situation was in Mexico, where he was before he got the job at Godolkin, maybe they kind of... Because we know, like, Vought in general is scared of Homelander. They need a contingency plan, and, like, every other contingency plan has kind of faltered. I mean, who knows? It could... I mean, we know Edgar's still out there. Like, Victoria's gone, but Edgar's still out there. We actually don't know how much he knows about how she died, and that might not come up until the in the 5th and final season of The Boys. Get any clarity on what he knows on that front. But he's definitely not in a position to go get Zoe, who's in Red River too, where that's a thread that's going to be interesting to see how that's pulled, especially considering Zoe, saw her mom getting murdered by Butcher. I think she might have been knocked out at the time. I don't think she was conscious at the time. Either way, I'm going on this whole diatribe, sorry. But I was like, my point was like, Edgar's powerful enough to probably still have connections in Vought to kind of pull some strings like that. But there could be other players involved where they're just like, yo, we need to get rid of Homelander. We need a new Homelander. Just like, well, we needed a new Soldier Boy, and that was Homelander. Now we need a new Homelander, and that's going to be Marie potentially. So... that's why I'm like, it can't be something Homelander greenlit, because he would never want anyone. He can barely handle someone smarter than him. He's sure as shit not going to handle like someone being stronger than him, someone that is a legitimate threat to his position and just a threat to his life in general by being stronger than him. So, which is interesting considering the two did cross paths, because someone did bring up the conversation of, we never saw how that whole situation ended. Like, why is it like we just saw the screen flash to white at the end of season 1 and our quartet was locked up? That's all we got. So we don't know like what happened in that moment. Like, did Homelander just not aim for them? Because I thought I remembered him directly hitting Marie and then it flashing to white, but maybe it never did. I don't remember. I haven't seen the season 1 finale in a while, so I could be misremembering. So I was wondering if that had something to do with Marie, why they're still alive, but no one's commented on it. So, but maybe something went down that they weren't aware of. Who knows? There's a lot there. I went on my massive diatribe. Sorry about that, but I'm gonna circle back to Marie's training. Now she's got to do it with a goat. A goat named Elon, and it's like, but what if I hurt Elon? And he's like, well, that's why we named him after assholes. And so when they do, ultimately, like, you're like, oh, please don't kill Elon, please don't. God, that line is so fucked up to say out loud, but I'm saying that in the context of the show. I'm not making any comments. I want that clear. I don't want anyone to misinterpret anything. So I'm just like, oh, please don't let anything happen to the goat in general. I'm like, oh, that sucks. And then he's just like, all right, bring it. All right, Vince, bring in Julia Fox. I was like, fuck you. I was like, that's crazy. But I thought was really interesting in that moment where like he walked up closer, and in that moment I was like, the fact is he's focusing so much on that goat. I'm like, I'll go ahead and say it, like in that moment I wondered, I'm like, are you a bloodbender? Because I'm like, you're getting too like up there. I get it. You're hyping up Marie, but then Marie turns and looks at him and looks at his blood. I was like, what did you see? And we find out later on when she talks to the others, she's like, oh, he's human. I'm like, what? I was like, there's no way. Like after the Indira situation, they were going to double and triple check that anyone that works at Godolkin was definitely going to be a super. I'm like, there's no way they're going to let another human slip. You know, it wasn't even like she slipped through the cracks. They knew she was human. They were fine with it. But it's like after that, there's no way they're going to hire a human. So I'm like, there's got to be more to it. There's no way he's just a regular human. He's got to have some kind of power. But I'm like, how and why is he hiding it from Marie? Well, we'll get to that later. But the fight has to go through now. But with help from her fellow Starlighters, Emma plans on sneaking a camera in there, and then they'll be able to record and use this as blackmail to remove Cypher from Godolkin. So the big fight is about to happen. You know, Marie and Jordan, they were hoping that they could probably buy enough time until like the recording is gotten, they can expose him. That was like this really interesting moment with Jordan when they talked about like their powers developed when they were 6, but they kept them hidden because they were scared, and ultimately would have this recurring nightmare that I'd be out in public with my mom or this or that, and people would start hating me. But you know, Marie's like, but that's not real. And then Jordan's hearing all the people chanting, "Fuck you, Jordan," and it's like it's playing into this fear that you've had your entire life. For most of your life, and now it's like it's become a reality. But Marie's like, all that, it's fake. Me being right here, you being who you are is real. Me being here with you is real. I love you. You know that, right? And it's like, I do. You know, but it's like the rough situation, and it's just playing into those fears that Jordan had. And I think it was a point just to kind of like let Jordan know, like, hey, it's okay. You can calm down. Like, they probably were going to tussle a little bit, but I think they were still trying to buy enough time. But like, I think Marie kissed Jordan not only just to ease their, like, you know, make them feel okay, but also to kind of make a point too that like, hey, we're not like enemies. I'm with you through and through. So it's like, if the crowd's going to hate you, they're going to hate me too in this moment. So like, I can, you know, shoulder some of that, all of that with you to some extent, you know. But aside from all of that too, I should also note, not love is horrendous, but the whole thing of, all that promo shot for the fight, I'm like, they didn't have you do this, right? It's like, no, they didn't. They deep faked it. So I was like, oh, cool. That's awesome to know. Kate is sitting in with Cypher and letting him know, like, hey, my power's back a little bit. He's like, oh yeah, awesome, that's cool. Then there's the whole situation of Emma sneaking in through like the piping, and the guy comes back. He flushes the system because I guess it sensed like there was some blockage, or the fact is the water was off or whatever, and he turned it back on. And Emma almost drowned if it wasn't for Allie using her powers to turn the faucet, the valve. And so Emma comes in through the toilet, can't even get up. I was like, oh god, the bowl is too like steep, you're not going to be able to climb out. And then I was like, is he going to piss in it? Worse, he's sitting down to take a shit, and we see ass, balls, and alls. I highly doubt those are actually Hamish Linklater's balls. Might have been. Whatever the case may be, I'm like, oh, this show does not shy away from all the genital stuff, dude. She's like, dude, this show probably wants to try and go down in history for being the show with the most wang on television. They have to be aiming for that Guinness Book record. I wonder I actually looked it up out of curiosity. Guinness Book Records typically doesn't. I think there was something I was reading like basically in 2022. They don't like keep records of stuff like that, but also like inappropriate or offensive stuff is not like, you know, officially kept. But it'd be kind of like an unofficial thing, I'm sure. Not like Guinness Book World Record recognized, but general public zeitgeist knowing of the boys or Gen V will end up going down in history as being like the most penises in television, uncensored penis in television, you know? So, either way, once again, diatribe. So, Kate's doing her thing while, you know, Emma got up, held the camera there. Kate's trying to get him to reveal the truth, and she's like, "I know your secret." And it seemed like he was almost nervous, like, "Oh my God, you do know?" And she's like, "You're human." He's like, "Yeah, you got me." The moment she said that, and he reacted, I was like, "It's." I'm like, he's definitely got a power. So what is it? And it's not till like he confronts her. He's like, "Oh, you got my. Oh God, the angle of the camera. You got it all wrong." So he saw through it all. And then he's like, "Okay," and he's like, "Let me show you." I'm like, "What's he about to show his powers?" And then he controls Jordan, and he's like, "Right, meat bags. What are humans if not walking? Everything is a walking meat bag." I was like, "This motherfucker is a bloodbender." I was like, "That's good." I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You killed off Victoria. You need someone else in this world to fill that void. So I was like, "That's so interesting." But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, because last season of Gen V, Marie could tell there was V in in Victoria's blood even before she showed her power and stuff. So she knew immediately, like, "Oh my God, you're a soup." And then like she showcased her power to be like, "Oh, we're the same." So did he purposely mess with like the V in his blood because he didn't want to take the chance Marie would know? Or is that a natural byproduct of bloodbenders that maybe like the V is also always swishing around, so it's so diluted because of like your bloodbending and stuff like that? Because at the time he was focused on the goat, so I was wondering like maybe he was doing something and he was feeling it through Marie. He's kind of like coinciding his abilities with Marie to kind of really help her in that moment, or maybe he was using his powers to sense the blood to see how good her control was, and because of that, it seemed like he didn't have any V in his blood when he did. Because part of me wonders, like, maybe Victoria could do the same thing. Like, maybe you can hide the V in your blood, and maybe more often than not, she's using her powers to do it, but in that moment, she specifically wanted Marie to know, like, "No, look at my blood. Oh, yeah, you can see there's V in it. You know I'm a Sioux." So, like, that's why I'm wondering, like, did he purposely, like, let that lapse? Was he like trying to like hide it in that moment, or could it be a situation of like, no, that's just naturally what happens with bloodbenders? Whatever the case may be, it's like, so now we understand why he knows so much about not only powers, specifically Marie's, because they're the same. So maybe that's also why he was there when Marie was born, because they knew ahead of time that she was going to be a bloodbender, and as one himself, I don't know. So it makes his interest in her run even deeper. But Marie had to stop Jordan, and I was so scared. I was like, "There's no way they're gonna kill Jordan." But I'm scared because I was like, I don't want her to accidentally pop Jordan. But luckily, she levitated Jordan and then dropped them. So that's all it comes down to. But it's like, yeah, he's on to you. You didn't get any closer to taking him down. He ends up getting what he wants, and now you finally know what his power is. I guess that also implies like how he was always able to do what he does, knowing when people are lying and stuff, because you can tell by like the pace of someone's heartbeat and stuff like that, and all that jazz. Which funny to say, considering like, you know, Marie's actress's name is Jazz. So it's just like, yeah, like, you're able to tell people are lying, so that kind of goes with his ability. Because the whole thing was like, oh, can he read minds? Like how is he so in the know? It's like he could probably tell just because of the flow of your blood. So interesting development. I'm excited to see where this takes us. We've officially hit that halfway point in the season, so I have no idea where things are going to go from here. I mean, and considering all that Marie can do, and considering how like powerful they want to make her, it's like, where Cypher is power-wise and his full history and stuff like that, it does beg the question, like, can they do anything? Because if they try to stop him, it's like, well, I don't think, yeah, because they don't know that, because Marie knows she's a bloodbender, but I'm trying to remember, I'm like, did Marie find out last season? Someone let me know comments down below, because I don't remember if Marie found out she's the head popper. I don't think she knew. I don't think she found out, or did she? I legitimately don't remember if she found out that she's the head popper. So, because no one in the public knows that. Only like people like Vought and like the boys know her to be the head popper, but no one else does. So I don't know if they know the full capabilities of like what bloodbenders could. Well, I was about to say, I have to take that back, because like she literally blew up Kate's arm and blew up Rufus's penis. So that is perfectly clear. So, and they know like he'd be capable of that too. So it's like, how do we contend with that person who can do that, who can control you guys at any moment in time and also blow up your body if he wanted to, So, like I said, interesting developments. I'm excited to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward, but really that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.